What's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day or night, I guess I should say. In my case, it is getting late. We just put Aspen down. We've been doing stuff all day, so I'm going to try and keep my voice down on this video just so I can avoid waking up my daughter. But, last video was a mail day. Video before that, we were talking about, plays that I was making and being transparent about buying heavily into battle styles. But we're moving forward from Sword and Shield at this point. The train has left the station. Yeah, sure, there's growth on a lot of these sets, but I think a lot of people are going to be priced out to wanting to invest and wanting to buy boxes. I think I got the hiccups. So that leads me into our topic for tonight. What do I think is the next set that I would potentially put money into, buy more that I need? Right now, I think the fact that you can get Scarlet Violet cases in the mid 500 area or maybe even 500 flat was something that people told me when I was talking about that and that price point. It was something that people told me could not be done. And as a result of that, I ended up paying more than I should have on several Scarlet Violet base cases. And now I'm considering even buying more Scarlet Violet base just to bring my overall average down. But mainly, we're going to be talking about the best sets in 151. In Scarlet Violet, sorry. Already my head is jumping straight to 151. You guys know I love 151. Pokemon 151 is a special set, which means probably unorthodox in terms of investing. A lot of the times when we're talking about Pokemon, we're talking about booster boxes. That's the way to go. So let's talk about main sets, okay? Because you guys already know how I feel about Pokemon 151. I think Pokemon 151 is peak. I think that that's the best we're going to get in Scarlet and Violet, but that's okay. There are other sets that are great, that are seeing love. We've got Temporal Forces just came out, and the cases are, from what I saw, the cheapest price was like $570, which is a little bit high in my opinion. But, I think that there's a lot of hype around that set in the singles. Does it translate to the booster box prices and the case prices? I don't know. With every set, I pretty much try to at least buy one case. Temporal is actually the first set in a while where I didn't buy a case of Temporal. So I am going to buy a case of Temporal. You guys know I'm not a fan of Temporal, but it's irrelevant. If I think a set's going to do well, I want to invest in it. And then also, if I just want to have at least one box of every set, of every era moving forward. I think it's very easy to accomplish that if you're going one set at a time and you're keeping up with the hobby, and you're staying current with it, guys. I think it's just important to stay current with it and stay in the groove of things, and then you'll know when stuff becomes hot or changes, you'll be right then and there ready for it. What I'm thinking is Temporal Forces has some hyped up cards right now, but that doesn't mean that the set doesn't necessarily have value. Like, even though I don't really buy into or subscribe to the idea of paying these exorbitant prices for some of the singles and Temporal Forces, I still think that other people are going to continue to do that. And then on top of that, people are going to want to open up these cards down the road. Some people are really big fans of some of these sets like Temporal and Paradox Rift. And I'm sure it's going to be the same crowd that likes these sets that's going to like Twilight Masquerade. I'm willing to bet my money that same crowd is going to gravitate towards Twilight Masquerade. Nothing wrong with that. I'm always excited to hear about a new set. Even though, as a collector, I get ground down by all the new sets constantly coming out, but it's just how it is. In terms of, a more traditional set that I really, really like, my thumbnail is either one of these or both of these, but I'm holding up the Paldea Evolved ETB, and I'm holding up this awesome promo that comes in these ETBs. I'm not a big fan on ETBs in general anymore, but I will buy a case if I plan to open up a set. I think ETBs are great because we get the promos, and the promos, if they're good, will go up in value over time. I actually just sold one of these promos for, I think, $10. And honestly, I didn't think it would sell. I just really liked the promo and wasn't in a rush to move it. But knowing that the Pikachu sells for $10 now is pretty incredible. I did not expect that to happen this soon, but I've held on to all these promos because I really do like that promo. I just thought, I'll put one up for sale just because I have so many. But yeah, I'll open ETBs if I just want to open up a set just to avoid opening the booster boxes. I know that might sound weird, but it just, a part of me just feels like opening a booster box is just too much money to open up just to find a couple cards. So I like the ETBs because it allows me to, you know, spend more time opening multiple of them. I get the promos, and then I might get something out of one of these ETBs. Whereas you can open a whole box and get nothing out of a whole box, and then you're just $100 pretty much in the hole immediately. And of course, you'll be able to fill out your set and you'll get the bulk, and maybe it's great when you're first trying to binder a set, but after you've bindered most of the set, it's really not fun to open booster box after booster box, and I would probably continue to open ETBs. Now, for collecting and investing, are ETBs great? I would say no. But Paldea Evolved that's really mainly what's on my radar. Do I think the artworks in Paldea Evolved are exceptional? Not really. I don't think they're really exceptional. I think that the Tyranitar was amazing when that came out, but is the art incredible? To me, not really. But the Raichu is really, really good. Nobody seems to really care about the Raichu, but I think the Raichu is absolute fire. And just goes hand in hand with the fact that there's an amazing Pikachu promo. And let's just look at this promo. Guys, this is an awesome promo, considering the fact it has our 3 new starters on there, but it really highlights Pikachu and just the illustration in general, the style of the artwork, and then the realistic background. It looks awesome. I really love this promo. I think it's super slept on. And it'll be, I'm pretty confident that this Pikachu promo is going to go up in value. It's a random little low value card, but I just love it. But the Magikarp, I say Magikarp, which is weird, but it's just how I say it. You just got to understand. I know that it's Magikarp, but I like saying Magikarp. I don't know why. Anyways, that's been going up in value crazily. Like I think it's like $100 to $150 right now, which is wild for that little floppy fish. But again, so it's pretty easy with Iono and Magikarp. Those two, I'm going to try and say it right just for y'all. Those two are pretty much the chase cards. So we've kind of identified 2 good chase cards out of Paldea Evolved. And there's obviously a bunch of other cards, a bunch of other arts, but 2 really good chase cards. I think that's when the light bulb goes on for me when we're talking about a set and we know that there's now 2 pretty high value cards. Paldea Evolved, you can get cases for like $500, maybe $550. For that reason, I think with Sword and Shield ending here shortly, everything is out of print. There's a small supply probably left on Pokemon Center. I do think that it's eventually going to dry up. I think that's inevitable. Do I think that you should be rushing to buy stuff off of Pokemon Center or go on eBay and buy cases and boxes? Not really. But at the same time, like if you want to, I don't think that it's a bad play right now. I think you should probably decide, do you want anything from Sword and Shield at this point? Or do you want to just focus on where the value is and just look at the Scarlet and Violet sets and what they have to offer? Because honestly, for the price you can get into some of these Scarlet Violet sets, it makes way more sense at this point to stop loading the boat on Sword and Shield and start looking at Scarlet Violet. If you are looking at this from an investing standpoint, I don't make a lot of content like that, but I think it's just the past couple days I've been doing all this math. I've been trying to figure out what's financially feasible for me, trying to figure out plays to make. You know, I did a major play with Battle Styles, and we're not gonna talk about that anymore, but just looking at all these box prices really made me like Like, I've just spent way too much screen time looking at box prices and like analyzing where the market's headed. And, it looks really risky. You know, prices are at all-time highs. It looks really risky. Market might stagnate a little bit and come back down to earth a little bit. And that might be a better time to scoop up some of this stuff. But right now, everybody's flooding in. That's kind of my signal to back off a little bit. I did pick up some more Brilliant Stars cases, Lost Origin. I picked up a case of that. I haven't been able to check out or do anything else with Pokemon Center. I've tried everything. I've tried private browser. I've tried using the computer. I've tried using Diana's phone. I've tried using Guest. I've tried like everything, guys. So my thinking is just it's a little buggy. Also, my thinking is that it might be getting close to them being out of stock, and so they're not able to send these orders through. I tried just getting Brilliant Stars on there, and I couldn't. Along with, you know, I wanted to get Lost Origin and Brilliant Stars again, but I wasn't able to. So I tried just Brilliant Stars, wasn't able to. So I ended up picking that up off of eBay. And I wanted to get a case of Fusion Strike, even though it's kind of ridiculous. And that's, you know, I'm not taking my own advice if I buy a case of Fusion Strike at the current price. So then I was looking at boxes, bidding, and the bids just kept getting bid up. And I'm like, dude, $250 for Fusion Strike. I love the set. I've got a couple boxes. Maybe, you know, I got those boxes for like $100. So maybe I'll just, you know, maybe 100 to 120, 130. So maybe I'll just sit on those boxes and just learn to just be happy with what I have. And, you know, I have a super low average if I do want to sell a couple of those boxes down the road. But ultimately, I just want to have one of every box, and then everything extra I'll sell down the road. Yeah, I think Sword and Shield, I think the time is up. Even though there's still, you know, Silver Tempest is still, and Brilliant Stars and Lost Origin are still on Pokemon Center, I think it's a matter of time. And I think that boat has sailed already. I might be wrong. That's okay. I'm not right about everything. I'm mostly speculating when I'm talking about this stuff. But I think Sword and Shield, we just kind of got to close that chapter and look at Scarlet and Violet and accept that pandemic era is over. Sword and Shield is over. And it's been a couple years now. So, you know, I think it's only natural that we're going to move forward and accept what we've got. I haven't been the happiest with Scarlet and Violet. 151 really appeased me, as well as I'm sure a huge market of OG style collectors. I'm very happy that I got to open a ton of 151. That was me purely as a collector and a hobby enthusiast, being able to open all that product and enjoy all of it with you guys during the live streams. I'm hearing some talk that the first waves were a lot better for 151, so I'm kind of feeling weird. I still haven't completed the set by opening products. I have tons of duplicates and tons of extra SIRs, including Charizards, Blastoise, and Venusaurs, and Zapdoses, and Giovanni's, Charismas, and what was the other one? Erica's Invitations. I have duplicates of those, and I'll be sitting on those probably for a long time. But my last UPC wasn't so great, and hearing people kind of rumor and talk about the reprints not being as good of pull rates, that does worry me. It does concern me a little bit. As you guys may or may not know, I am short on 2 cards from the set, pulling every single card. I need the Nidoking illustration, not a big deal at all. Probably could pull that even out of, you know, reprinted product. And then I need the hyper rare gold Mew, which I think is going to be tougher to pull based on the pull rate data on that card. But anyways, Paldea Evolved seems like it's probably the next pickup for me in terms of grabbing a couple extra boxes of something. And then people are going to probably make fun of me for this, but Sword and Shield base, I get that a lot of people think it sucks, but it has Corridon, it has Miraidon. I've always loved those 2 Pokemon. So I love that set just by default. I think it's maybe, it's in the top 3 for me. Regardless of where my average is at on that set, I'd say 151 was number 1. Paldean Fates is pretty dang good with the Charizard, the Gardevoir, and the Mew. I can't talk crap about Paldean Fates. Paldean Fates is a really good special set in the grand scheme of the chase cards in that set. I didn't pull any, but I probably have to put Paldean Fates in terms of those chase cards in the number 2 slot. But in terms of main sets, I'd say it probably goes Paldean Fates, maybe Paradox Rift, but I'd say Paldean Fates takes the cake, and then Scarlet Violet base underneath Paldean Fates. Maybe Obsidian or Paradox Rift are like neck and neck below that. I wasn't a huge fan of Paradox Rift. A lot of people love Paradox Rift. Obsidian Flames, on the other hand, and I do have ETBs left of Obsidian Flames. We pulled the Charizard SIR out of Obsidian Flames really early on, which was really awesome, because that doesn't happen to me often. But Obsidian Flames, I probably like to buy more of, because just that Charizard alt art is great. It's the same reason I like Brilliant Stars. I'm just basic like that. I think Obsidian is going to do well down the road because people are going to want to pull that alt art. And because it's a booster box. Like, people probably prefer the Paldean Fates SIRs over everything else, maybe in the entire Scarlet Violet block. But it's a special set. It's not booster boxes. And typically, these ETBs and special sets, they are harder to move down the road. That's just my theory on it. But I'd say Paldea Evolved is probably what I will be looking at, as well as Scarlet Violet base. And here's the thing. What I've learned in the last couple days is you can buy sets right when they're ready to move. And that's awesome. That's awesome. That feels great to buy into something and it's already showing growth. Amazing. On the other side of things, you're spending all this time looking and scrolling and trying to pick stuff up, trying to make money. Kind of ruins things for me personally. A lot of people want to wait a couple months since the set's been out. Sometimes the set takes off immediately. Temporal Forces, I feel like, is in that, it's in that area where I think it could continue to just take off because it's a set that there's a lot of hype around some of the singles in the set. So I think that set could probably take off, and maybe it's better in some cases, and I've talked about this in the past, to just buy one case when the set releases and just be done with it. Your average is still going to be lower than buying it then, and you're not going to waste any time than waiting another year, 2, 3 years to buy in on that set right when everything is ready to move. Timing the market can be really, really stressful. It can be difficult, and it takes a lot of time. And your time is valuable, right? The rich trade, somebody left a comment. You guys are always correcting me, saying things, well-known phrases. You're always correcting me for saying them wrong. But the rich trade money for time, and the poor trade time for money. Simple, but so true. And when I'm sitting here for hours looking at boxes, looking at cases, trying to figure out, like, what's the deal here? Is this really worth it? These prices seem really high. It's stressful and it takes a lot of time out of me, and it's fascinating too. I do like learning about the market, but at the same time, it's a lot of time being wasted. Now, in my case specifically, I'm still specifically hunting a lot of Grail cards, or maybe not a lot, but like a handful that I'm still really trying to go after. But the past 2 years, I've really been trying to go after these cards heavily, and that's dictated where all my money and time went. So, and collecting theme decks. Now that I'm kind of getting closer to finishing those big goals, other than a couple really big cards that I still don't have, but I'm sure I will find down the road, now that that's coming to a close, I'm looking more at traditional modern sealed investing approaches and buying this stuff and sitting on it. I'm kind of getting back to that. And I hate it. I honestly hate it. I hate buying product, trying to make money on it, trying to, figure out the market and timing everything. And then knowing that I'm going to have to store it all, and then knowing I'm going to have to ship it all back out. People talk about modern sealed investing a lot, and it is not as sexy as it seems. it's really not fun either. Is it cool to make money on this stuff? Sure. But is it how I want to spend the majority of my time in the hobby? No, not at all. I want to look at stuff that I like genuinely really want to have, really love, it will display really well. And buying and sitting on booster boxes it just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't do anything for me. And I, you know, I also am cautious about spreading that narrative as well to you guys and saying that, like, I'm buying a lot of this set. You know, I think it's probably worth it. I mean, I have conviction in my decisions, but just because something can work doesn't mean that you should necessarily do it. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I'm having, you know, just a little bit of buyer's remorse buying all these modern sealed boxes. I'm very confident that it's going to work out in the long run. It is stressful, but that's not what stresses me out. What stresses me out is that I know I am now no longer liquid enough to buy the Grail cards and the stuff that I really, really, really cherish and want and am looking for and is extremely rare, because I'm buying all this stuff that is, you know, very common, very abundant, but has a tendency to go up in value. So, and there's the other argument that, like, even if I sell all this stuff and I make gains on it, it might not be enough to offset the cards that I'm really wanting and wanting to go after. It might not be enough to offset how much those have risen in price, right? You wait too long to go after a Grail card, it goes up a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand, and then boom, you're priced out of that card. It doesn't matter how much stuff you're selling. It doesn't matter how many cases of Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest, whatever you got, Astral Radiance. It doesn't matter how much you got, Evolving Skies. It doesn't matter, because when you sell all that stuff, you still can't afford the Grail cards that you really want. So for me, you know, I feel like I'm maybe going backwards here by, you know, going into sealed product, but I'm just going to roll with it. It's just something that feels very uncomfortable for me kind of diving headfirst back into. And, you know, I'm kind of happy that Sword and Shield is over, because with the hype around all these sets, I'm just wondering how much people are going, like, content creators, I'm wondering, like, how much we're going to talk about these sets over and over and over and, like, how well they're doing. But we'll see. From, you know, $1,000 a case, $2,000 a case, it's really hard with how modern this stuff is. It's really hard for me to believe, and how much it was printed. It's hard for me to believe that there's a lot of upside left in this stuff. I want to be open-minded. I have a lot of this stuff, but I'm still very, very skeptical. Even putting money into it, it doesn't mean that I'm entirely biased, you know, into, you should all be buying sealed product and get this set now before it's too late. Like, nobody knows if this stuff's going to work out. And, you know, the economy could take a turn. There's that variable too. But I'm just going to trust the process, because I didn't fully trust it in the beginning. And I really kicked myself for that. So this time around, I'm going to trust the process fully with sealed investing, but I'm really going to look for the sets that I think will be the most popular and pose the most value. More so in terms of the chase cards inside them and what everybody really loves about those sets than the actual, like, the financial value of it, right? The, like what I just did with Battle Styles, bought that because it was the cheapest option, really. And it was like, okay, everything in Sword and Shield is going up. The only thing left is Battle Styles. So, and I guess Crown Zenith. So, which I also have a ton of, just because I really liked Crown Zenith. I thought that set was going to do really well. But it's a reality check, you know? Some of these sets just did really well, and others not so much. And, you know, now I'm having slight doubts, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, Ryan, just don't go all in on something that seems like it's just good value. Go after the set that you think people are going to continuously want to open. And, you know, people are big fans of the Magikarp out of this set, okay? That could not be stated more. That card is doing really well. Might be somewhat due to inflation manipulation. The artwork is awesome. And I personally pulled that card, so that was a really cool card to pull. But the people have clearly spoken. And time again, people have left comments telling me that they are buying Paldea Evolved, saying that it's probably the best value, and I'm right there with you. I think Paldea Evolved probably is the best value that we can see right now. I have my opinion about Scarlet Violet Base and 151, but Paldea Evolved is probably the best value to get right now. Temporal Forces might be that one winner set that you just buy it because it's gonna keep going up. I don't know if these inflated car prices are gonna come back down, and then Temporal Forces will come down as a result as well, and it'll be kind of a flop again. But you know, it's really tough to say. Is Ghastly enough? Is the SIR with Gengar in it, sitting down with that trainer, is that enough? Are these cards really enough? Is the Iron Crown enough? Is it enough to help pull the set through? I mean, if it stays at that $200 price point, you know, Temporal Forces makes probably more sense than anything else, which is crazy because you guys know I don't care about Temporal Forces, but I can see that there's real value in going after something that is widely accepted and popular, and I think Temporal Forces is right now. I think I'm actually the black sheep when it comes to not liking Temporal Forces. You know, occasionally there's somebody that's like, I agree, I think Temporal Forces is kind of mid, but I think most people really like Temporal Forces, and they are opening it to get that Ghastly, to get that Iron Crown. So, and right now is the wave 1 of Temporal Forces, so it might make sense to buy it now, especially if you want to open a box and you want better pull rates. Probably better to get that now. So that's also on the agenda. I think I'm going to do that tonight, probably. Order a case of Temporal, maybe 2. It's just when this stuff is in the 500 area, and like the cheapest Sword and Shield case right now is basically 700 battle styles. It's kind of like, okay, that door is closing, another door is opening, and we got to look at what we have moving forward with Scarlet Violet. So let me know what you guys are thinking. You know, is Temporal Forces, is it going to come back down to earth? You know, are these singles going to come back down, or is it just going to keep moving up? Because I feel like it's closer to 600 now, which seems a bit high for Scarlet Violet set that literally just came out. But the thing is, when a set's really popular, everybody's going to go after it regardless. So I'd definitely be interested to hear what you guys think. But I like Paldea Evolved. That one seems like probably the best pickup for Scarlet and Violet, and that's what I will be looking at in terms of buying cases. Again, guys, I don't talk about investing stuff much, and I want to veer away from doing it often, but I've just been looking at a lot of that stuff the past couple days, and it's hard to unsee it at this point. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what moves you're making. Are people stocking up on Scarlet Violet right now? Is it too soon? Should we wait a little bit longer? At the end of the day, Scarlet Violet is also going to be over soon. I mean, if you think about it, we've got, I guess we've got 3 or 4 sets left, and then I think this era will be over with. And I'm kind of looking forward to that. I don't know if I'm going to be looking forward to the megas that we're going to get in the next era, but it is what it is. So we'll see what we get. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe staying in Sword and Shield and buying those boxes even at their new highs is the good thing to do. I just don't want to tell people to do something that seems like it would be very expensive, very costly, and also has risk. Whereas buying into Scarlet and Violet stuff, yeah, there's risk, but the cost is like half of some of these boxes in Sword and Shield. Anyways, peace out, guys. Do what you will with that information, and let me know what you're thinking. Deuce, deuce.